Question. Hey Kim, I've been watching your videos. They all make sense to me, at least the core messages. I have been studying David Hawkins' teachings. Have you ever heard of him? Very similar teachings. Well, yes, I have. I actually, back in, I think 2005, I was in Los Angeles and I attended a one-day seminar with Dr. Hawkins, where he was talking about his teachings. I also read one of his books, but I honestly can no longer remember it because it's so long ago that I read it. And it's true that there are a lot of similarities between David Hawkins' teachings and the Ascended Master teachings. So I was not, I didn't find Hawkins' teachings so helpful for me personally because I already had Ascended Master teachings. And they go beyond what Hawkins taught. But it's again one of these things where it's very, very individual on the path which teaching helps people. Because my feeling about this is that we all have this, what I call the subconscious selves, that are based on a certain illusion. And that illusion is formulated in words. So way back, probably in a past lifetime, you were in a difficult situation, you reacted by formulating a certain illusion in words that then became the basis for one of these subconscious selves. So that means that there is a certain formulation in words that can help you see the illusion. And whether that comes from this teaching or that teaching is highly individual. So in other words, you can have a spiritual text, one person reads it, has an epiphany, another person reads it and nothing happens. So it's very individual. So that's why I always say, you have to follow your intuition. If there's a teaching that seems important to you, you study it. But you also, I think it's best to be aware that you have a life plan. And as part of your life plan, you may need to study several different teachings, even be in several different spiritual movements or follow different gurus. Because sometimes you have to, you are attracted to a teaching, not because it's necessarily the absolute truth or the ultimate teaching, but because you have to learn something from it. And sometimes what you have to learn is sharpen your discernment and say, oh, this isn't actually the highest teaching. So I'm just saying, you need to be flexible. In terms of Hawkins, the one thing that I was a little bit, you might say, turned off by was that he uses this muscle testing to calibrate vibration. And I have, all of my life, I have never really been attracted to this, you might call it divination. It's where you use some kind of mechanical thing, mechanical technique to get answers. It can be muscle testing, where you get yes and no answers. It can be I Ching, tarot cards, astrology, all kinds of things that people have come up with. And personally, I've always felt not attracted to that at all. Because I think I'm not saying it can be helpful for some people at a certain stage of the spiritual path, but the goal of the spiritual path is that you gradually raise your consciousness so that you come to a point where you have a clear intuition. And when you have a clear intuition, why would you need muscle testing to read the vibration of a book, for example? I mean, he demonstrated on the stage that he took a book and he held it up and he used his assistant to muscle test. Was it over a certain vibration? Was it over that vibration? Was it under this? And many other things. And I'm just saying, first of all, I don't think this is infallible because it very much depends on the person who's doing it. And if they have some kind of bias, it will actually influence the technique. So I don't think any of these divination techniques are completely neutral or objective. But I'm thinking, why, as I said, you come to a certain point where you develop what I call Christ discernment. You have enough connection to the one mind, the Christ mind, that you can read vibration directly. And then you don't need all of this stuff. But again, I mean, I'm not saying it can't be helpful to some people. It's just, the question was about Hawkins and what was my impression of it. So